Hey, what's cooking, people? And welcome to another episode of MC Eats Life. Yes, that's right. There's no food on this episode, only adventure. So, today's episode sees me come to Fort Canning Park. I filmed here a couple of weeks ago, but it was only a very short trip as I was on the way through the park to somewhere else. I'm really looking forward to spending a bit of time exploring the park and doing some filming and seeing what we can see. It's actually a really lovely day here in Singapore today. Sun's shining, it's quite hot, but there's quite a cool breeze at the moment, which probably means that there's going to be rain on the way. But for the moment, there isn't any rain, so let's keep our fingers crossed that we see some interesting wildlife today, and also that the rain holds off. Oh, one thing about Fort Canning are the hills. I recently did a jog round here, much longer than I should have done, and it was okay until I tried to jog down after and really hurt my knees. I know I'm getting old, but yeah, it's hilly, but I love it. I love how it's a little green oasis in the middle of the city. And from up here you get quite a nice view, don't you, over the skyscrapers in the distance and the office buildings. You've got the Singapore River down there as well. Clarke Quay, love it or hate it there. It's a really nice little spot here. So I think that some of the schools are on holiday this week, so there might be a few people around, but I'm hoping that it's going to be fairly quiet, particularly whilst it's hot and sunny in the middle of the day. I've seen it get quite busy at weekends and evenings when it's a bit cooler and the sun's gone down. Also, today happens to be a very special day. It is my birthday. Yes, MC Eats is becoming an old man.
It's your birthday today. Happy birthday!
The old Fort Canning Lighthouse here. It's quite a spectacular sight. I need to go and read about it because at the moment, like nowadays, this lighthouse is a long way from the sea. I don't think that was always the case. So it says on here that it closed in 1958 because the tall buildings being built around obstructed it being seen from the sea, which is why it now looks like it's just in the middle of the island. Well, it's not actually that far from the sea, but there's just too many buildings in the way. This is a very cool tree, isn't it? It's a rain tree. There's a few of these in Singapore that we've seen, but it's one of the heritage trees. So an interesting fact I've just learned is that the leaves on the rain tree will kind of fold up on themselves when there's rain on the way or at dusk. It's pretty cool, isn't it? Who needs weather.com? Just use the rain tree. Nice view down this way, down these steps from Raffles Garden over towards Parliament Building, Treasury and all those things over that way. Some lovely trees in the way as well. Raffles Gardens here, but as I said, there's school holidays at the moment, so there's quite a few children around on like holiday camps. So I won't film around here. We'll go away from where they are and then we'll see what we can see. Just been reading this sign about the Flagstaff that's here. I mean, this is just a replica, but goes back to 1825. There's been a flagstaff on this spot, originally used to communicate to Singapore about ships coming in, the nationality of the ships, and pass on messages that way. It's very cool, isn't it? A bit like the lighthouse. It's hard to imagine now when you can't see the sea. So thinking of the geography of Fort Canning Park, it's quite a steep hill, and then on top is a reservoir, which kind of means that to navigate the park you have to go round, and then there's certain bits you have to go round and down and up, but that's slap bang in the middle and you can't get up there and see it, but you do get a nice walk round. Sad to learn that this cannon is only decorative. It's a shame. By the time Fort Canning was built, this kind of cannon was obsolete already. So yeah, it may have been, I think it might have been used elsewhere in Singapore, just not here. Nice view down there. Kind of reminds me of more historical parts of Southeast Asia. I don't actually really know the history of down there. Perhaps we should go down and have a look. Dotted around, you'll see lots of these swings. There's a couple here, and then there's more somewhere else around the other side, I think. And they can get quite busy and popular on the weekends in particular. I really am glad that I've come and done this walk today, because I've walked past this tree loads of times and never really thought much about it. But it's called the Earpod Tree, and it was a heritage tree, but in 2014, during a storm, it got uprooted. But it's still alive and it continues to grow, and they've planted some other bits underneath it. It's still providing a canopy and shade. It looks amazing, doesn't it? Kind of describes it as a living sculpture, and I suppose that's kind of what it is now. We haven't had one of our squirrel friends for a few days, have we? This one's just sort of stretched out, hanging by its feet, eating. You crazy beast. So I'm just heading down the hill. As you can see, it is a hill. Down to where we saw those nice brick structures with little towers. Don't really know the history of it, so let's go and see if we can find out a little bit more. God, it's good for your leg muscles. Okay, so this makes some sense. So the legendary founder of Singapore, the guy who arrived and was like, Singapore, meaning Lion City, he crowned himself the king and he built his palace on the hill. And so this bit of garden that I'm going to walk through is kind of a recreation of what the sort of fruit garden, the royal garden, might have looked like, with fruit plants, fruit trees and flowering plants and stuff. So we'll have a walk through and see. At least it's not just some kind of copy of temples from Myanmar or something. So it seems that the reason that the temple was built up on the hill, and actually a lot of the settlements in those times were built up on hills, was because of the belief of being closest to God. And so it makes sense, doesn't it? And also from a security and the safety point of view, like certainly in England, fortifications are built on hills for security. You can look down and people who are attacking have got to come up the hill, and I'm sure that probably played a part as well. But it was to do with religion. Interesting. So lots of nice plants that will be flowering in this area. Lots of places to sit, particularly in non-COVID times. I think we go through here and then we're going to get some fruit trees. Nice ponds. I wonder whether they would have had ponds in the time of the original king. I'm guessing the hill was probably a source of water. In fact, it was, wasn't it? I think there was a natural spring here. I think colonialists used up, ended up drying it up. But yeah, a lovely little walk through of this bit. We'll walk down this way. I think, it says Registry of Marriages. Is that what this bit we're going to is now? I thought it was the back of the hotel, but it's not. Past the trees. This is the remnants of an ancient orchard dating right back a few hundred years. There's been records of fruit growing here, and they think it was about 600 years old, the orchard. It's pretty cool, isn't it? I think if we go down here, there's some ruins that we can have a look at. Let's go and have a look, shall we? So it's a real shame reading about this. So 1984 they started doing excavations on the hill, but most of the soil at some point here has been disturbed by work that's been done by the colonialists. So it's, you know, you've lost, things have been broken, disturbed, misplaced, lost. It's a real shame, but I don't actually know what these, how old these ruins are. I'll have to read and then I can update you. So interesting, I'm glad I've just stopped and read the sign. So you can see there's quite distinct layers. There's the bricks, and then there's that kind of white layer, and then there's the red layer, and then there's the sandstone at the bottom. Well, the bricks, they date back to early 20th century, and then the layer underneath, not much has been found, but that red layer is where lots of ancient artifacts have been found. And then again less so in the sandstone, but that sort of red layer is where we're going back 600, 700, 800 years. That's very cool, isn't it? I'm glad I've actually stopped and given it a read. I'm glad I stopped there. That was really interesting, because I kind of assumed that all the layers were from the same period, but actually just seeing that, yeah, there's really 4 very distinct layers there, and the different things they found at the different layers. And that second layer down, they've basically found really nothing, and they suspect that that layer is what's been brought in from elsewhere, rather than being anything to do with here, which is really interesting, isn't it? So this bit here is really popular with people to come and sit out. I've seen loads of people here on a particular weekend. We've got the lawns up towards Fort Canning Centre. Yeah, quite impressive looking building, isn't it? That colonial style. I'll walk down and then we'll walk across, and we'll go towards the gates over there. So we're going to walk down into Farquaad Garden. So Farquaad was a keen naturalist, not a keen naturist, keen naturalist, and documented loads of the plants and trees that were here in Singapore. And this garden has got all sorts from when I had a walk through the other day, and there's also things that have been brought here, such as cacao and things like that. Let's go and have a look. Talks about figs. I'm guessing that the fig plant there, looks like it. Don't really know when fig season is. We've got pomegranate. Not much in the way of pomegranates growing at the moment. And on this side we've got some taro. It says it's been cultivated and used as a staple crop for over 6,000 years, taro. It's a root vegetable, a tuber. And then we've got some sugar cane, source of many an addiction. It says a gambia. What's a gambia? Or gambier? So when Raffles arrived in 1819, there were already 20 gambia plantations in Singapore. So it contains tannins, so they use it for dyeing fabric and tanning leather. So this fruit, often known as the Indian date. How do you pronounce that? Jujube? Probably insulting somebody there. But can be used to make a nice drink rich in vitamin C. Some guava. Don't think there's any guava growing. Obviously coming at the wrong time for the fruit yields, aren't they? Interesting. So this is the citron plant, not to be confused with the lemon plants, although you get a fruit that's quite similar to lemon, but it has a thicker rind and less juice. And it says it's often preserved or candied to eat. And here we can see some of the wild nutmeg, which is native to Singapore and the area nearby. It's very nicely done, this garden, isn't it? It's quite fun walking around and trying to spot the interesting and exotic plants. Ah, there you go, the cacao tree. You see the pods growing up on off the branches. Obviously those ones are very little. But yeah, very cool. Very bitter. But again, a bit like that sugarcane, source of many an addiction around the world. So it says Raffles brought cacao to Singapore as a way to try and boost the exports from here, because it'll grow well here as it does in South America as well. I can see a little sign there for galangal. Often confused with ginger in cooking. I was watching something the other day and it says don't use ginger in your Thai curry. It's got to be galangal, and I think that's probably true. I just always assumed it was ginger and I lived there. Starfruit tree. Still no fruit on our tree, but that's what it's there. It's called a starfruit tree. And looking at that, it's probably because of the shape of the fruit. Who'd have thought today? Ah, then the coffee tree. You see it growing up there. It's cool. So it's got an outer layer called pyrene, I think that's how it's pronounced. And then you remove that layer and then it's the bit inside that you then roast. Again, a bit like the sugar and a bit like the chocolate, source of many an addiction around the world. Can't beat a good coffee sometimes. I hope you found it as interested as me looking around Farquaad Garden. I just find it fascinating looking at all the different plants. Our mandarin orange tree. Any little mandarins growing on there? No, not that I can see. I do like a mandarin. So just reading the sign, it says in Malay they're known as limau kupas, and the kupas means peel, and it's a reference to their thin, easy to peel skin, which is true, which is one of the reasons I like buying them, because I get them for the kids and then it doesn't take me so long to peel them. That's probably enough for Farquaad Garden. There's probably more to see, but we're getting hot. Right, let's walk back up and we'll get a great view as we're going to turn around, and I'll show you in a second the view over towards Fort Canning Centre. That's a pretty cool view up there, isn't it? Up the lawn to the main building. And you can see it's still sunny. Clouds are going actually a little bit now, which is nice. Then we've got the little cemetery area. There's someone in a tree over there. What are some of the dates? We've got 1863. Can't see any other dates on there. 1844. Should come down here and do some ghost hunting. Right, with the Fort Canning Centre to our left, we're going to go through this archway. I've just noticed there's more little tombstones built into the wall on the way down. Quite cool, aren't they? What kind of dates have we got on there? Can we walk up that path? Should we go? Yeah, let's do it. We'll go and walk up that path. Okay, before I do walk up that path, there we go. So it's an old Christian cemetery. It was used between 1822 and 1865. And the gateways that are at either side, which I thought may have been some later addition, actually were built by Captain Charles Edward Faber. There you go. I reckon that's Mount Faber is named after Faber. Some of the oldest examples of Gothic revival style architecture in Singapore. Over 600 people are buried here. There you go. So mainly Chinese Christians, or a third of them were. 1865 it closed. Oh, okay. So a lot of the gravestones were removed. It's a bit of a shame, isn't it? 200 were left. Let's walk up and we'll walk up this side. Oh, so I'm guessing these weren't originally built into the wall. They've been kind of put here as a way of preserving them. That's quite a nice idea, isn't it? Don't know where Teltham is, but family in Sussex. Salem, witch trials in USA. "38. I was 38 yesterday. Elizabeth, 47. It's quite scary, isn't it, when you realise how young people died. That poor old James Wilson, 1849. He was only 11 years, 7 months, 15 days old. Bless him. 21, 36. The person back there was called Robin Wood. I thought it said Robin Hood. That would have been an interesting tombstone to find, wouldn't it? Oh, it's a nice breeze now. That was quite a chill in the air for that breeze. It's really interesting to see where people were from. Quite a few from England, some from Macau. So I wonder, Macau is of Chinese origin, or looking at the name, Portuguese origin, when Macau was part of the Portuguese Empire. 12 months. Poor old Emily. Yeah, it's interesting seeing where people have come from all around the world, as you'd expect somewhere like this. Oh, not poor Adam Armstrong, he used to play for Blackburn. He signed for Southampton, 29. Ah, that was a nice little one, and it goes all the way round. My goodness, I could be here for days. Let's go and have a look over by the hotel. Oh, I've really enjoyed looking at those, and I'll come back one day and look at the other bits. Just notice how flat that bit of lawn is down there. Can you see? Like a bowling green. It's a very cool looking sculpture. Fredderswinde. There's a few more sculptures here. So I think it was part of an exhibition back in the very early 1980s. Don't know if all of them are, just that one at the front. I'm gonna have a look at this one, see if it says a similar date, and then we can probably assume that the others are as well. Now this was done for a similar purpose, but 1988. So I'm guessing they're from different years. And each time they do it, Singapore keeps one and puts it on display here. Adds to the ambience. So another one from the ASEAN sculpture exhibition. This one symbolising unity. What was that one? Togetherness or friendship, one of the two. So this one was another 1981 sculpture from the similar time as the wooden one that we saw. So I'm walking down now towards the tree tunnel, which is a tunnel which goes underneath the road and pops out the main road down the bottom, and it's got a spiral staircase that leads down to it, which is very popular with photographs. I think maybe I've been there once when there hasn't been people taking photographs. I was going to say I don't think I have, but I think I've seen once. There's a cockerel over there. Should we have a look at the cockerel? Just hanging out. This one's not making a noise, always flapping his wings. Oh, he's just scaring off the birds that are hanging around it. I mean, this is technically going out of the park, and I don't want to go out of the park, but I do want just to see if there's anybody taking photographs. Wonder if we can see it from above. So this is then the spiral staircase that goes down. Oh, I don't think there's anyone. Should we go and have a look? I've never taken a photograph down here. Oh no. See, there is. I knew there would be. Always is. There must be 24 hours a day. There must be people queuing up to get their photograph taken on the spiral staircase. I'd love to know what they're going to do with it. Does it go on Instagram with all the others? Someone somewhere is going to make a collage of all the spiral staircase photos. It's going to be quite artistic. Oh, any problem coming down here? I do this walk sometimes. Is that then I'm going to go right to the top of these steps. And then steps, 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 and it keeps going. Oh, right. I'll join you at the top. Just walking up the steps, heard a bit of commotion. And there's like, what's that, four cockerels, a hen, and some, what are the little black birds? I can't remember their name now. Asian coel? I can't remember. Or they're just hanging out. Maybe there's a plentiful supply of food perhaps in amongst the leaves here. So top of the steps, then we get the entrance to the Fort Canning Hotel. We're going to miss that out. And then I completely forgot about Battle Box. So the Battle Box, if you've not been to see it, is quite a cool little like preserved bit of the old military base inside the hill here, inside the mound. What we'll do, we'll go up this way. The entrance is shop there, entrance is on the other side. But if you go this way, there's a little staircase that goes up through a tunnel up to the top. It's called a sally port, I believe. So it was this sally port that I came and did some quick filming for recently for a ghost hunt. Heard some banging that day, and there was a mysterious temperature change. But you go up through the cobwebs, there's one there somewhere, and then this gate, you can close the gate behind you, and then you're in the dark and drippy tunnel. So I sat in here in the dark with my EMF meter. We didn't get any bibs. Well, we got one, but it was just one. And we got some bangings and a temperature increase. Then you go around the corner, and then you're up on top of the Battle Box. It's quite a scenic way to go. Nice little arch. Can't remember what's the history behind it. There'll be a sign here that can remind us. You can see the swarm of flies. Okay, there's a bit of history for you. So it was completed in 1860 for the entrance to the British-built fort, which was Fort Canning, named after Lord Charles John Canning. Over 500 men helped build it, and it was to protect Singapore from seaborne attacks. There you go. Facing the beach. And it had a wall and a moat. Okay, cool. So we'll go through the gate. Hopefully you don't get attacked by the defending British Army. So many little flies there. Spooky. I'm not sure. How can you see them on the video? I don't like that at all. Yeah. Through here, we've made it through without being attacked. And then there's a cool map on the floor. Kind of gives us an idea of what was what. So this bit here is the old married soldiers' quarters, or what's left of it. When you look there, you can see it used to be 2 stories high. So now it's just the 1 story. And it's built around 1926. And it was lodging for the married British Army officers. So from the old married soldiers' quarters, and you've got the reservoir on your left, and the path just kind of follows it round. And actually, it's a really pleasant walk. There's a butterfly fluttering over there. It's a really pleasant walk through this bit, shaded, and particularly during the day, it's quiet, which is nice. Lots of butterflies around. Quite a fun place for them to be playing. It's searching for for food. Yeah, really pretty little walk through. And it's this bit in particular, you can hear the insects. That reminds you that you're in a wooded area. It's cool bark on that tree, isn't it? Cicadas making the noise, or how you pronounce it. I think I say it differently every time I say it. And then we've gone round to almost being able to see Clark Quay again and the river. We've got a kapok tree here. We saw a kapok tree the other day, didn't we? Where was that? Can't even think where it was now, but we saw a kapok tree the other day. This last few meters of the walk, last bit of the walk, and then that'll be us done here for the day. Still think there's more to see here. I love the trees that I've got. Things growing out the side. Disguises the tree trunk. Another one there. Oh, there's that windy path. That's what did my knees in that time I came for my run. Right, I think that's just about it from Fort Canning for today. I've really enjoyed having that walk around. I've learned loads. I'm hoping that you've learned a little bit and that you've enjoyed it as well. If you have enjoyed it, make sure you like the video and subscribe and click the little bell so that you get notified of future videos. Who knows where we're going to go next? Literally could be anywhere here in Singapore. So until then, until next time, thank you for watching and stay full.